So I have my dear brother Matthew Henry, all the way from Harrow, joining us this evening. I just want to say a big thank you. Me and Matthew go a long way back, go long back, and just a real great brother in the faith. And well, yeah, I said let me hit him up, share his testimony. So yeah, uh, go for it, Matthew. You know what? Share your testimony, and I'm sure from that, because I know your testimony, but others will hear it and I'll be inspired by it. So yeah, take the floor, bro.
Cool, yeah, I try not to be too incriminating. Now, thanks so much for having me. I appreciate that. It's true, we go back a long way, over 10 years we've known each other now. So
Yeah.
it's a long way back when we were both probably single and slimmer. So yeah, definitely. But yeah, I got saved a while back now, as I said, 2010. But going back before then, I grew up what you kind of consider a good home. I was the only child. My mum, my dad's from the Caribbean. My mum's French Algerian. So my mum was kind of a bit of a Muslim background. My dad was like a Catholic background, kind of as you'd be, kind of Caribbean person. All okay, you know, with my mum and dad. They weren't married, but you know, it seemed okay as I was growing up. A bit of issues between them, but you know, as you kind of get on with life as a child, is what it is. Was quite in a good position financially. My dad had a number of houses that he owned. He had a construction company. So, you know, growing up, I went to private schools. We went to quite a few holidays a year. My dad used to have homes in the Caribbean. So things like that, from a financial point of view, always seemed to be okay. It never really seemed to be too much of an issue in that sense. But I remember as I got a bit older, I got to about 12, 13. I remember one day my dad brought a baby into the house. Now, this may sound very, very, very strange to you, but every male member of my family has kids with different women. Even those, unfortunately, that were married, have all got kids with loads of different women. And so my dad was the only man, a male in my family, that only had kids with one woman. So there's something about that made me very proud. And I know it seems like a weird thing, but it always made me very proud. And so so one day when I was about 12, 13, he brought a baby home. And so I was thinking, you know, who's this? And he said, oh, it's my goddaughter, it's my friend's daughter. So I was thinking, that's a bit strange. But I said, okay, fair enough, no problem. So we look at me, my mum, you know, she slept in my bed. We're looking after this little baby, cute little girl. And then as we're changing her nappy, you've got something, all parents know what I mean, you've got like a red book. And this red book is like a child's health book. And it's got the name of, you know, just everything about them. And one of the things it had the name of mum and it had name of dad. And the name of dad was my dad. And I'll never forget that. Really like hit me like, oh wow, like this is actually his daughter. He's lied to us, but two, like that pride I had in looking up to my dad, like, you know, with my mum, kind of went out the window a little bit. And it had a real effect upon me how I looked upon our relationship as well. So when I hit about 14, I remember one day asking my dad for some money to get some clothes. Asked him for some clothes, and you know, he said, I haven't got no money, XYZ. So I think you've always got money. Then thought nothing of it. About a week later, I found some receipts that he left on the table, and it was where he'd taken the woman he was having an affair with on like a shopping spree, and he spent over £3,000 on clothes and stuff for her. So that really kind of hit me. And so at the age of 14, I said, you know what, I'm never going to ask you for money ever again. And our relationship really severed from that point. I didn't really speak to him, didn't want to ask him for anything. And we were kind of like strangers in the house. And obviously at 14, there's not an awful way you can kind of make money too well. And so unfortunately, I had an older cousin who was into kind of badness and drugs and whatever. And so I asked him, I said, you know, is there any way you can help me out? And he was like, no. And so at the age of 14, I kind of got into selling weed and just kind of making little bits of money and get involved. And then when I hit 15 years old, that's when the financial crash happened. And it really hit my dad massively, where we went from having, you know, houses and money to having to sell the houses, having bailiffs at the door. It just really changed. And so I no longer went to a private school, went to a state school. My circle of friends changed a little bit. And as I kind of got involved in kind of just selling weed and things like that, I started to get deeper and worse into things that I shouldn't have really, and around people that I shouldn't have. And just doing things I really shouldn't have. When I hit about 17 years old, me and my dad really started to clash. And at 17, you know, you think you're the man, you know, no one can't tell me anything. I'm starting to get a bit of a reputation. People know me. So I was thinking, no one can't really tell me anything. And so my dad just said one day, we can't have two kings of the same castle. So you're going to have to come out. So at 17 years old, on a random day, just to get out the house and don't come back. So literally I said, no problem, packed a bag, walked out, went to go live with my auntie in Shepherd's Bush. And it actually, you know, it was a really bad place for me to live at the time. My auntie, she was a lovely lady, but she was an air hostess, so she was never at home. I went to go live with my older cousin who, you know, all he was into was the kind of gang culture lifestyle. And so it wasn't a good place for me to live. I just got involved in things and with people that, you know, growing up, it's like, this is not for me, you know, involved in situations and positions and people holding me up with things. And I'm like, wow, like this is not the life that I intended. I just wanted to have a little bit of money on the side. I didn't intend to get involved in stuff like this, but I had to give that persona, I had to give that image on the outside that, you know, I'm hard. I don't have any fear, but really on the inside, many situations, I was very fearful. I was very afraid of all sorts. And I remember one day when I was 17 years old, I was living in Shepherd's Bush at the time, and I had a best friend called Dominic. And Dominic was into that whole gang culture very hard. We lived next door to each other. We were, you know, best friends. Our mums were friends. You know, just we went to school together every day. You know, we were very, very, very close friends. So when I moved to go live in Shepherd's Bush, we didn't see each other as much, but we'd always keep in touch with best friends. And so he came to my house and, look, we're going to a party, come with me. And I said to myself, well, I'm not, you know, okay, fine. So I said, here, look, take this, you know, let's go to this party. And he goes, no, it's not that kind of party. And at the time, I've been going to a lot of parties in, you know, Ladbroke Grove, Shepherd's Bush, Hammersmith, just quite dangerous parties. And so my mentality was already like, I didn't really see it as fun because it wasn't a fun, you know, it just being scared for your life doesn't seem fun. And so, you know, I remember we went to this party and at the time, one of the things that my dad, I'm not going to blame it fully on my dad, but one of the things it made me do is I didn't have the probably respect, or even though I was very close to my mum, I didn't have that same kind of respect that I probably should have had for women. And unfortunately, like when I was younger, you know, unfortunately, this is one of the things I got into promiscuity. And so unfortunately, I wasn't, you know, my mentality of a man was how much women that you have. The more women you have, the more that makes you a man. And so my mentality from young, especially having friends that were older than me, was who can have the most girls, who can sleep with the most amount of girls. And that was kind of the warped mentality I had when I was younger, that this is what makes you a man. This is really what being a man is all about. And so that was my mentality. It was all about girls. It was all about that lifestyle. And so I remember when I went to this party with Dominic, and, you know, I always missed this part of the story. Not many people know this, but what happened was we went to this party, and Dominic, unfortunately, he was into a lot of things. And so he, you know, into the whole kind of gang culture. I don't want to say too much, but into that lifestyle. I remember we went to a party and there was a group of guys there that it was just me and him that had an issue with him. And so I remember we went there. It's not an issue. We leave this party for a back alleyway. And what had happened was, like I said, I was living with my auntie, but she was an air hostess, so she's never in the country. So what we have called a free yard. So I had a free house. And so I saw a girl who I'd known before. She said, yeah, no, come back to mine, not a problem. So as I've left, I've realized, sugar, that's on my old phone. I haven't got a new number. Let's go back. So he said, oh, you know, Matthew, there's problems there. Like, I don't really want to go back. This could be an issue. I'm like, bro, come on, man. Like, you're meant to be my friend. And, you know, guys that are listening will know what I'm talking about. Like, come on, don't block me like this. Come on. You know, that's just how it is amongst men. And so we go back, and I remember as we walk back, we just see a sea of black in front of us. And sugar, this is going to be a problem for us. And so we go back, we just see a group of guys, and one just runs straight up to him and just stabs him right in his face. I remember his face just opened up. It was horrible. And I was about 15 meters away from him on the opposite sides of the road. So I'm kind of like froze, like, oh my days. Then they stabbed him again. I've ran over. As I've ran over, we're all kind of fighting, and just all sorts is going on. And I remember at the time fighting and kind of just stopping fighting, saying, right, someone punched me hard in my back. And I remember thinking, you know, I've been in fights in my life, but no one's ever hit me like that before. And so, you know, we get involved, have a bit of a scrap. And I end up walking away. I say, you know, my back's really hurting. So I walk away and I keep putting my hand on my back, and I'm wearing a thick North Face coat at the time, I remember. And I put my hand on my back, and I went like that, and my hand had all blood on it. And so I said, sugar, that's a bit of a problem, understatement. And so I remember going back, as I'm walking away, the guys are saying, yeah, look, come back, rah, rah, rah. And I've realized, sugar, I've got a problem, because I'm in a back road in the middle of this estate. And so I said, I've got a bit of a problem. And so, you know, I said to myself, you know, what am I going to do? I remember I hit the floor, and I'm kind of like getting dizzy. I'm on the floor, And like I said, I believe there probably was some kind of God.
Yeah.
I never read the Bible, never went to church. I said my mum comes from a Muslim background, but you know, my mum's with my dad. My mum smokes, she drinks. So none of us are really serious. We think there's some kind of God somewhere, but it doesn't affect our life. I don't really care. That's just the life that I'm living at the time. And I remember lying on the floor and I said, God, you know what? Don't let me die like this. If you're real, not like this. You know what I mean? Let me go out in a hail of bullets like a real man, but not like this. and so, you know, I remember waking up in the ambulance, and then I woke up again. I got to the hospital, and as they opened the ambulance doors, I remember my mum was standing there crying. There must be about 4 a.m. Someone had called her and told her, and she had told my dad. Now, I'd been living in Shepherd's Bush away from my mum and dad for about a whole year. During that year, my mum started telling me that your dad started going to church. And so I was thinking, church, that must burn down when he walks in, because we didn't speak at all. We had such a bad relationship. I had such a bad relationship with my dad, which made me quite like a bit of an angry young man. I feel like rejection sometimes kind of brings an anger. And that's kind of how I was. And I remember my dad only told me this about last month, actually. So he had actually got saved when I was away. And what had happened was he went downstairs, you know, mom told him, and he's going out and he's in a panic. And, you know, his best friend actually died when he was younger. His best friend died when he was being stabbed as well. So that, he said it brought back memories. And so he got downstairs and the first thing he saw when he put the light on was the Bible. And he said he literally sat down and he said, God, if you protect my son, I will not do any, I won't try and get any revenge. You know, my dad, you know, younger, was kind of in and out of prison. And so he said, you know, God, if you do protect my son, I promise you I won't do anything. And he was a new Christian at the time as well. He wasn't like a established person. And so, you know, we got to the hospital. I had all my stuff on my back. Thankfully, it didn't hit my spine, didn't hit any organs, was very thankful for that. And, you know, I remember speaking to my dad in the hospital and he's talking about forgiveness. And I was thinking, this is a totally different man. This is very weird to see this at the time. And so, you know, I ended up moving back home as soon as I came out of hospital. Our relationship was a bit weird. But I remember literally, so that was February 27th, 2009. February 28th, 2010, my friend Dominic, the same one that I got stabbed with, in January 2010, somebody had witnessed to him just on outreach and had said to him, hey, look, what do you know about Jesus? And so he's thinking, what do you know about Jesus? This person witnesses to him, says, look, we've got this revival service. You really need to come. He doesn't have a clue what it is, what's going on. But he said to me that in December 2009, he prayed because we had all these issues that we couldn't take bus or train. We had to take cab everywhere. And he just said, oh, he's just sick and tired of living like that. And he said, God, if you're real, you know, show me you're real. So the next month, the guy witnesses him, who's from one of our churches in Birmingham as well. Actually, I think he was from the Digbeth Church. He was in Harrow randomly, witnesses to him, and he comes. And at the time, the church in Harrow was about 5 or 6 people. It was basically Pastor Harry, his wife, his kids, and I think two guys, and like 3 girls. So it's basically very, very, very small church, very small. So he walks in. The day that he got saved, Pastor Harry called the guy that was coming to preach and said, you know what, no one's coming, no one's getting saved. You know, we've all been there, like, don't worry about it. Just cancel it. There's no point in coming. I'll still, you know, give you some expenses. Don't worry about it. And he said, no, let's come. Halfway through the service, Dominic walks in. Everyone kind of looks like, who's this guy? Puts his hand up, gets saved. And 3 weeks later, we do a concert in Harrow. So Harrow's never done a concert before. So he said, let's just do a concert by ourselves. That day, Dominic by himself brought 51 people. And how he was doing it, he was just calling people saying, yeah, come to this thing. Jump in a cab, I'll pay for it. Yeah, jump in a cab, I'll pay. He must have paid for at least 7 or 8 people's cabs, at least full of people saying, yeah, just come. He came to my house on that same day. He said, Matthew, you need to come to this music concert. So what are we talking about? He said, yeah, come to this music concert. I said, all right, what is it? He said, it's just some music. I said, cool. Then he said, oh, it's at my church. And so I was thinking, what? You go to church? Yeah, long story. You know, when you're new, you don't really want to say it too much. So he's like, yeah, you know, it's at my church. And so I was like, what, church? I said, no, I'm not going to some choir like Kumbaya stuff. He goes, no, it's not like that. Just come. So I said, boy, Arsenal's playing, you know. So, you know, Arsenal's my first love. So I don't know if I'm going to miss the game. He said, just come. And I always remember, it's the day Arsenal's playing Stoke. Aaron Ramsey breaks his leg. The game lasts a very long time. And by the time the match finishes, that's probably the time the concert's about to start. I'm about 15-minute drive away. I'm like, it's long. And thank God for mum. At the time I was living with my mum, I said, Mum, will you drop me somewhere? She said, yeah. If she said no, I wouldn't have gone. So I probably owe a lot to my mum as well. So she drops me. I hear that it's the first time I ever heard the gospel being preached. You have to remember, after I got stabbed, I had no more selling drugs, no more sleeping with girls. I got myself one girlfriend. I got myself a job. So in my mind, I'm a good person now. I've left the bad life behind. I'm a good person. But there was always that something missing, trying to stay faithful, I wasn't able to do any of those things. It's like, I wanna do better, but to me, this is what being a good person is. So when I heard the gospel message, I was like, that's it. That is what I'm missing. I need that forgiveness. And so literally my hand shot straight up. I was like, yep, that's me. That's what I need to be forgiven. I want that brand new start. And so once I heard that, went straight up, prayed. That was on a Saturday. I went to church the next day. There was hardly any of us, maybe but not that many of us at the time. A few people from the concert the night before. And literally week by week, wasn't missing no service, just kept on going. I had a girlfriend at the time. She wasn't having it. And so after about 2 months, maybe two and a half months, she was like, look, you're going to have to make a choice. It's me or this Jesus stuff. There's only one person that's going to win. And so, she was in shock. I was in shock as well, because I thought, maybe this could be the one kind of thing. But I said, no, I have to make the choice. It's you or Jesus. Then it's not close. And at the time, I was still new. And at the time, I thought maybe I made the wrong decision. Like maybe this was a bad idea. Best decision I ever made. From then, I just carried on going, and God really helped me. My relationship with my dad, God really rebuilt it. I heard a sermon on forgiving your dad in particular, and me and one of my friends were the only two friends in our whole friendship group that grew up with their dad. Every single one of my friends didn't live with their dad. And so, there was always that something within me that other people didn't have. And, I that relationship with my dad, once that's severed, I saw a real downhill spiral in my life. Up until that point, maybe 14, I was doing well, doing sports, football, everything about it. I was doing well in school. No, it's only after my relationship with my dad really broke down that things really started to go downhill, I'd say, for me. That I heard a sermon about forgiving your dad. That really set me free. Since then, me and my dad's relationship, brilliant relationship we have now. I mean, we're actually friends. He tells me things, we talk. He calls me for spiritual counsel now. Just an amazing relationship. My mum, once I got saved, my mum started to see a drastic change in my life. Before, I would leave on a Friday. I wouldn't come home till Sunday night. She wouldn't have a clue where I was. Just reckless living. I mean, she would see girls come in all the time in the house. Unfortunately, she was a bit soft, so she'd allow girls to stay over, make them dinner, breakfast, nightmare. And so, at the time, I think it's a good. Now we look back thinking that was bad. But what happened was she saw such a drastic change. She see me wake up, suit and tie, and go to church on Sunday. No girls. I come back late on a Saturday. Where you been? Oh, I went to an impact team. Oh, I'm doing a concert at our church. Okay. Got a week in November. Where you going? I'm going to this church conference. So she really started to see a real change in me. Then she'd been to church once or twice. And what happened? I'd been saved maybe 10 months. And my pastor said, Matthew, I'm going to be away. I want you to preach. I said, okay, no problem. My mum was asking me questions. What's that thing you guys do at the end where you put your hand up? I said, Mum, not right now. I'm busy. And then I explained it to her. She came to church that Sunday, the Sunday that I preached. I can't remember what the sermon was on. I remember preaching, and my mum put her hand up and she prayed and she got saved. And coming from an Algerian Muslim background, that was powerful to me. That's the one person I really wanted to get saved was my mum. My mum got saved. About 6-7 months later, she got baptized. I was able to baptize my own mum. So she got saved. Sunday I preached, baptized. I was able to baptize her. She's been saved ever since. She's sitting next to me today in church this morning. My life really changed around. I got married 2012 to my wife Liz. We've got 2 beautiful children now as a result. But it's only it's so hard to explain because like I tell, you only really know how nice something is until you taste it for yourself. And I'm not a self-made man in any way, shape, and form. Many people have helped me and invested in me as a Christian and helped me throughout the years. but you know what? I know where I've come from. And that's the one thing that I never forget is even when I go through tough times in Christianity, I've been through many a tough time. Just really quickly, I know I'm running on, but I remember with just had a bad year, just my wife, all within the space of 3 weeks, I nearly got let go of my job. My wife, unfortunately, had a miscarriage. My mum was the terror attack that was in Barcelona. My mum was a victim. She broke her arm, her hip, her pelvis, her ribs on this side, femur bone. It was really, really, really bad. Look, and all that happened in 3 weeks. And that's when I realized, you know what, even through the tough times, God is with you, even when you don't always realize. And so things like that have always made me, always go back to where God's taken me from. And so just a word of encouragement, even for anyone that watches this, you know what, I'm not, people look, oh, you've got it all together. No, God's really helped me. And you're seeing, 10 years, 11 years down the line, but actually, people like me and you, we've come a journey. We're still on our journey, but we've come a long way. God's really taken us somewhere. And so that's definitely, just want to encourage anyone that watches it, anyone watching, you know what, God's faithful. I know it sounds like such a cliche, but it really is true. Just keep building. My thing when I was a new convert, I just kept coming every Sunday. Yeah, I was still partying. Yeah, I still had a girlfriend, but I kept coming every Sunday, and God just started to work slowly but surely in me. And the man that I am today, God really molded and shaped me from that.
Amen.
So, yeah.
Powerful, man. Powerful story. And then, as I say, there was a share that and just believe God as well. And so, I really appreciate you coming on, Matthew, and sharing your story and just the power of Christ. I'm always amazed when I hear people's stories of redemption, where God brought them from and where God brings them to. And that's why we call it his story.
Yes.
That's what we call it. And so again, I really appreciate you coming on and sharing your story. And I'll send you the link when it's all uploaded and everything like that. But again, I just want to say a big shout out to you, bro. And we'll see you soon, man. Maybe one day you'll be preaching it in Birmingham. Come preach for us.
Hopefully soon, bro. Let me know.
Yeah. Hey, bro. Listen, we'll speak soon. All right. God bless you, man.
Take care, bro.
All right, take care. God bless, man.
Bless,
all right,
man.
Bye. Another powerful story of redemption. And you heard Brother Matthew Henry's story of how Jesus changed his life. And maybe you're there and you're thinking, can Jesus change my life? I want to tell you now, that's why Jesus came. Jesus said that I've come to set the captives free. And maybe you're here, you're thinking, what must I do to be saved? How can I allow Jesus into my life? And the Bible says whoever believes in their heart and confesses with their lips that Jesus Christ is Lord, he shall be saved. And you're here today and you want to cry out to Jesus. I want to lead you in a prayer. And wherever you are watching this, you can cry out to Jesus and ask Jesus to transform you. Say, dear Jesus, I know I'm a sinner. I ask you to come into my life and forgive me of my sin. I believe you are the Son of God, and I believe on the third day you rose again. Come into my life and transform me. I want to be born again. Change my heart. Change my desires. Change my mind. I turn away from my sin. I repent and turn to you, Jesus. Holy Spirit, lead me and guide me. I want to make heaven my home, Jesus. Save me. Amen. And if you said that prayer, would love to hear from you on your road of redemption. And you'll have your own story of how Jesus Christ has transformed and changed you. See, Jesus can take you from where you are and take you where he wants you to be. And I really want to encourage you. We're going to post more messages and more content regarding stories of redemption. And you hear everyday people's lives transformed by the gospel. God bless you and have a wonderful evening. God bless you. Have a wonderful evening. Make sure you like and subscribe the videos. Share the videos with people who may not be saved. They can hear and be encouraged by the message. God bless.